Madam Chair, we are all set and ready to go.
Awesome and perfect. And welcome everyone. I'd like to call this Human and Community Services meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. I'd like to recognize that Deputy Mayor Liam Sweeney is here and Town Manager Rick Ledwith is here. Alberto Cortez will not be able to attend tonight's meeting, as well as Director Helen Rubino Turco is here and Director Laura Ernster. So, hi everyone. We are gonna skip item 1. Sorry, I was reading through everything still. We're gonna skip 2A, approval of minutes, because Councilman Alberto Cortez cannot be present, and we're gonna table that for the next meeting. So how lucky we get to jump right into our Elmwood Community Center feasibility study. I just want to take a moment and thank the architects and the team of Techton for being here tonight. I know you guys have done it a couple times today. I am Adrienne Billing-Smith. I am one of the council members, and I am just so excited for this project. And I know everyone on this call is extremely excited for this project, especially Deputy Mayor Sweeney, who is a lifelong resident of West Hartford and has seen the transformation of his community and is really excited and has pretty much spearheaded this project. So I don't know, Rick, if you would like to start it off and then let them go, that would be great.
Yes.
We can go from there.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rick Ledwith, Town Manager, and that was a great introduction. We are as well pleased to have Techton Architects here with us again for the second time today. By way of a little bit of background, we engaged Techton back in the spring, late spring, and the primary reason we selected Techton is really because of how closely they align with our vision for this very important project for our town. And really from that point forward, they have really done an outstanding job of immersing themselves in our community, going back to Celebrate back in June when they spent 2 full days reaching out to many members of our community who stopped by their tent. By way of a little bit more background, we do have 2 teams working with Techton right now. It's myself, Helen Rubino Turco, Laura Ernster, Bob Palmer, who's not here this evening, and Catherine Deviney as well. And we work with Techton and our advisory committee. And then we have an internal working group that meets every other week that includes staff from Leisure Services, Senior Center, and the library. Our advisory committee, as you'll see, is a group comprised of 25 representatives of our community who represent various boards and commissions. And that committee has met twice this summer, which Techton will talk a little bit about. So similar to what we did this morning with the CPED committee, we wanted to provide this committee with an update on our progress to date, so as well as next steps. Our goal overall will be to provide the town council with a feasibility report later this fall with final recommendations, but we will certainly keep this committee updated as we continue to move through the project. So at this point, through you, Madam Chair, I would like to introduce Eddie Wadowski from Techton, who along with his team will walk us through a PowerPoint presentation, and then we'll all be available to answer questions that the committee may have following that presentation. So through you, Madam Chair, I'll turn it over to Eddie. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Rick. Okay. All right. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. Wonderful. All right. So I am going to do my best to try and be brief. Managed to do it this morning, which was good. I will try also not to skate over things. If there are things that I don't go into enough detail on, I'm happy to circle back and bring slides back up. But so we'll start off, introduce you to the team, talk a little bit about kind of the background and what we saw as the key pieces to the project. Talk about the advisory committee and our dealings with them. Explain to you what we've done to date, all of the different events, everything that we've been doing up until now, and then what's coming up and what our next steps are. So, project team with us tonight, Jeff Wazinski, is our principal in charge. Ernest Nepomuceno is our senior designer, and Antonia Ciavarella is our architect designer with a focus on sustainability and community outreach. So the four of us have really been kind of the key people meeting with everyone so far, and we've pulled in consultants from mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and structural and civil as we've needed to, but for the most part, it's been the four people that you see this evening. So just a really quick piece on Techton itself. If you're not familiar with the firm, we've been in business for over 40 years, second generation of ownership. We are just over 50 people. Our main office is in downtown Hartford next to the Colt building, and we also have an office in Rhode Island. And we pride ourselves on the vast majority of our work is repeat clients. We like developing relationships that we can foster continued work with, and we have a good history of experience with work in West Hartford. So the next couple slides, this one and the one following, are really, they're actually from our interview for the project. So before we'd even really kind of sat and talked with anyone, just kind of what we'd understood through our research and our familiarity with the area. And these two particular slides, I think, really resonated very well with the committee. As you can see, we wanted, West Hartford is a very diverse town, and we wanted, a project that was going to reflect that. It was going to celebrate the pride. There's an awful lot going on and a lot to be proud of, and really melding and synthesizing a bunch of programs together in a single facility that would, really enhance the quality of life for everybody there. And this was an image we had generated, again, early on without even having, tried to getting into the program, but the concept of a new building, sort of taking advantage of the topography, a building of modern design, but natural materials blending in with the landscape. And this, as Rick said, I think we kind of figured out pretty early on that there was a nice synergy between Techton and town staff. And so this has kind of been in the back of our head as we've been moving forward. So the advisory committee is, as Rick mentioned, is a pretty diverse group. It's been appointed by the mayor, so we really have quite a few different viewpoints represented, and we've been very clear with them that what we're expecting is we understand they represent a larger group of constituents, and so we want them to go back, take the things that we discuss, meet with their groups and be the spokesperson to kind of represent a larger group of people. And they've been doing a great job. There's been a lot of back and forth, and we've gotten some good comments going forward, or in the past, and we expect to have more going forward. So what we explained to them is their charge is, as I said, is they're a liaison to the community. We're trying to reach as many people as possible. So we want them going out, going back to the people they know and respect, get the comments from them, present what they've heard, and get the feedback. And so it's an iterative process going back and forth with the understanding that, the smaller group that Rick mentioned is really going to be ultimately responsible for deciding what's in and out of the project. But that, we want to make sure that all voices are heard. So to date, we started off, our project kickoff was right at the very end of April. We started with a couple of programming sessions where we met with emergency management, with the library, with leisure and social services, really kind of brainstorm, what the project needed to include. We took tours of the existing buildings, and that was really great to be able to kind of see things firsthand of, what works, what doesn't work. As Rick mentioned, we spent our 2 full days at Celebrate West Hartford, getting to see, probably a few hundred people over the course of 2 days, which was wonderful. We've had 2 advisory committee meetings, you see on June 30th and August 11th, just last week. We had more detailed programming sessions with the Senior Center and the Community Center just a few weeks back in the middle of July. Where we really are starting to refine the program and kind of dial in on things. Following that, we had our first meeting with the communications committee to develop a plan going forward for how we share information with the public, and I'll speak to that later. Antonia and Jeff did a pop-up event at the Beachland Park for a pool night. Neither one of them wound up participating in the cannonball contest, but they were offered the opportunity to do so. And then obviously you see today we're meeting with town council. So, you know, as you see a couple of photos from our tours and then from our time at West Hartford, at Celebrate, and, you know, you can see we posted up all of the comments that we got in our suggestion box and basically tried to group them all together, kind of synthesize and you know, kind of get a cohesive message. You see the pool night and some of the comments that came out of that evening, and then on the right is our first advisory committee meeting, which we held. We've had both of the committee meetings at the existing Elmwood Community Center. One of the things we asked, the first activity we asked the advisory committee to do was to give us kind of their wish list. We provided them with kind of the basics of what the program was going to have, and we asked them to give us their top 5 must-have in the project and their top 5 nice-to-have if budgeting permits. And as you can see, there's a lot of synergy here, a lot of duplication. It was really great to see that really there wasn't an awful lot that we had overlooked. There were certainly some fine-tuning and some tweaks that needed to be made, but for the most part, we heard things that told us that what we had in the program and the direction we were heading was really on the right track. And so the background of this slide is a very detailed program that lists all the particular square footages, quantities, adjacency requirements. And so we're taking all that now and really, you can see this is kind of the beginnings of a diagram to show how things will be organized. But as you can see, what we're really trying to do is maximize efficiency and not build, you know, if one function needs a meeting room and another function needs a meeting room, you know, we don't want to build 5 meeting rooms that are all going to be used sporadically. We want to build the right number of rooms that are going to be used all day, every day through proper scheduling. So while there are spaces that are specific to each group, there's also intended to be kind of flexible spaces that everyone will be able to use. So really quick, I want to kind of show you the some thoughts we had as far as the site plan. So this is the existing up the right side of the plan is the large Beachland Park parcel, and then on the left side on the west is the 100 Mayflower site. One thing, and we actually were talking about this today, so we know that we've heard from a lot of people, and we completely agree that the idea of this project is really to tie the 2 facilities together, make it one cohesive property, to really take the amenities that Beachland has and really, you know, have the 2 facilities really complement each other. There is a change in topography of about 10 feet, but actually, as it here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but at this drop off here, it's actually much less than that. So that's a good spot for a potential connection. It's really only maybe a couple feet there. We going to talk with planning and zoning to make sure we understand the regulations, but as we see it now, there are 150-foot setbacks from regulated wetlands that we want to try and stay out of. We want to make sure that we site the building to maximize the solar orientation. Sustainability is at the forefront of everything we're trying to do with this project. We've heard that numerous times from a lot of the constituents, and how we site the building is going to be important in that passive strategies that help you know, provide heating and cooling kind of the natural way. And then existing vegetation that we want to, you know, some old mature trees that we want to be respectful of. We did kind of a diagram of the Beachland site to kind of show where the major program elements are, to try and understand, you know, which ones are going to correspond to building the program, help guide us in terms of where we might lay things out. So a couple of key considerations we know we have on the, you know, essentially it's the entire west side is neighboring properties. We want to be respectful of the residences and get proper buffering, setbacks, landscaping. We want to look at how we access the site from both Mayflower and from Quaker, and, you know, how the circulation works between park and community center. Again, as I mentioned, the solar orientation, And then, as I said, we're trying to kind of figure out, programmatic elements in the new, with the new facility that mesh up well with the existing. So as we go forward, we are looking at the existing building. We believe that there are likely some cost savings in the reuse of the existing structure, but we want to be realistic about it. We know that there are some definite hurdles we'd have to overcome, and one is that right now we're looking at about an 80,000 square foot building, and the existing is only about 52. So no matter what, we're talking about a substantial addition to the existing building. There's some concerns in terms of accessibility because there's none of the levels that currently are at grade, and there's no elevator. So just in terms of access, it's a little difficult to get from place to place, and the gym is not necessarily matching up with the original structure. From functionality, the multi-purpose space and the kitchen, they're in the basement, so they're a little hard to access. There's a whole sea of columns. And you can see a few other things. We're concerned with like floor-to-floor heights are difficult, and we don't want to have shallow ceilings by the time we've brought all the utilities in, all the lights, the air systems, the sprinklers, everything that has to be above the ceiling. But one of the things that we're most concerned about, we've heard this from a lot of people, is there's a lot of frustration of trying to make a community center work within an existing school. And, to go through all this effort, go through all the expense, and to basically be doing the same thing, it's one of those things that may be a hard sell for people. So in terms of what we have upcoming, we're going to be meeting with library staff at their meeting first week of September. We have 2 public events that are going to be held at the community center in September and October. The September one is going to be a chance to show off our first concepts for the site and floor plans, to get people's feedback, and then October, a chance for them to, hear how their comments have been addressed. We have advisory committee meetings coming out in both September and October. We have established a project website and a project email, so everything can be posted, everything can be shared. The public has a great avenue for contacting us. If they can't make it to any of these meetings, they can see things at their own schedule and give us feedback. And then, from a communication standpoint, there's a whole lot of things we're doing. We're doing townwide emails. We have the website updates, really using social media posts, and we've got some great people on the advisory committee to be able to help with that. Weekly newsletters that go out from the library, piggybacking onto those and taking advantage of the distribution list, printed flyers at a whole lot of places. And as we were talking about in further detail this morning, we're looking at hopefully doing some television, maybe doing kind of a recorded interview that gets into, that really kind of highlights the major pieces of the project for people to be able to view, again, at their convenience. So next steps, as I said, we're going to keep working with the site analysis and really developing conceptual options. We talked about the first of those with the working group this morning, got some great feedback. We looked at 3 different options, and we'll continue to refine. They were all for new, so we're still looking at existing, but ultimately developing order of magnitude costs for the different options. And as I said, meeting with the community and ultimately putting everything together into a cohesive report so that every meeting, every activity, everything we heard, all the feedback is all compiled into one master document, so we can say, okay, we presented this on this date. Here's what we heard. Here's how we reacted, so that anybody who questions or challenges can see the clear progression of how we got to where we are at the end of things. And that's where we are. So again, happy to answer any questions and go back to anything. And hopefully you're all still awake at 6:20 in the evening.
No, thank you so much for that, Eddie. A lot has been done over this period of time. My only question, and others, obviously, I'll scoot over to Deputy Mayor Sweeney. When you were looking at whether you said there might be some cost savings in keeping the remaining building, can you speak to just your own personal or team opinion of even keeping the building and starting new, uh, as far as timelines, is that something that would breaking ground and getting that taken care of, is that better, look easier? Does it happen sooner than trying to, because I saw on the thing that you would just kind of gut it and start from the inside out again and build on. Can you just speak to that?
Sure. I mean, I think from a timing standpoint, it's probably not terribly different from the renovation versus new. It's one thing if it's occupied and you have to do a phased approach and, move people in and around. But, whether you demolish the building and start from scratch or, do all the selective demolition, it's probably not terribly different in terms of overall duration. The cost savings comes from essentially is, let's see, thought we had this. Yeah, here we are. So number 5, it's really, it's the floors, the roof, the exterior walls, the structure. It's kind of the shell of the building that there would be the potential cost savings. Because obviously, if those are in good shape and can be reused, then you're not building them again. But there are some other pieces, and so number 6 there. When you take an entire building down, everything goes into bulk waste when it comes to hazardous materials. If you're doing selective demolition, then you have to be a little bit more precise with everything, and everything kind of has to be done under containment. So asbestos, lead, PCBs, which is a big thing, and ballast and caulking around windows. So the actual demolition is more expensive to do that way. So that kind of offsets a little bit. We think it's probably going to be, like I said, we have to look at all the strategies and see how it irons out. It might be cheaper. It usually tends to be a little bit cheaper, but it's a question of, do you like what you get at the end? Is the savings worth, some of the hardships?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Liam, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask or comments?
Not so many questions, but I've been on the record about this. Like, I think that spending time on determining which is less expensive is kind of a silly thing for us to do. I think we should just tear that thing down and build up. Mostly because of the vision that we have as a council, to build something that is going to be generational here. That's kind of my big take in here. And I also want to make sure that, like, when we build out, that we're thinking about not today. I think the mayor's talked about this pretty on point. Is to make sure that we're building not for today, but for folks ahead of us. And I think that's the best way to look at this. And I think that gym was really great. I think that's not the gym for the future. And I don't think that's the facility that we're looking for when we envision this project. So I love the idea of a full teardown and rebuild, but obviously costs are a real thing, and want to be aware of that. But outside of that, I love what you guys are doing. But I would like us to be, when we're thinking about this project, just ensuring that we're thinking big and not what falls within what people are thinking about right now, but let's think big, because I think this is a project that not too many people get an opportunity for.
I agree. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to ask or comment on the project? I know everybody's kind of been in these meetings bi-weekly at least, and have seen kind of the development of it. But if you have anything you'd like to say, please feel free.
Madam Chair, it's Rick Ledwith. That to both of your points regarding renovating the current building and rebuilding. We've had a lot of conversations with both the advisory committee as well as our internal committee, and our thinking really is aligned from that perspective. We're looking at it. We're looking at the existing building, seeing if there's a possibility of making something part of it work, if not, or all of it. But we're not expending so much effort in that thinking. We're really moving forward with, a more comprehensive, most likely of a tear down. But so I don't want the committee to think that, okay, we're 50% of our efforts going towards a new building and 50% is going towards trying to make the existing building work. That's not what's happening. So, I do think at the end we will, our visions, committee's visions, the council's vision, and our vision will be aligned.
Thank you. And I love the way that it flows, like you said, with the park. I think that's a huge positive with the entire thing, because there are other things that are going to come about as we get the entire vision in place, from different sporting things that are happening there, potentially, talks of amphitheaters, not saying that's in there yet, or the dog park, the situation. So there's lots of things that can be done in that space, and having it connected to the park and giving people that access between the two buildings allows for a lot of our services. I think that Ms. Rubino, Turco can attest to that, how important something like this is, because it allows us to what am I trying to say? For the residents, it allows us to serve them better when it comes to our programs, especially with the library in there, to some of the human services and leisure services things being in there too. So I'm just really excited to see where this goes, and I'm ready to break ground tomorrow, because I just think this is just so exciting. And I'm ready for it to be up, and I think it's going to be such a huge improvement and investment in our Elmwood area, and much needed and much deserved. So thank you for your presentation. Liam, did you have something you wanted to?
Yeah, no, the one thing that I just want to put an emphasis on is the town really needs a top-notch gymnasium.
Liam's always going to say that no matter what, and he's right.
And I really want to put an emphasis on that, as if I haven't already. I'm nerding out here with you guys, so bear with me. Growing up in this community and not having access to one, maybe I'm scarred. But I truly believe that whatever plan that we have going forward should start with that, and then build out from there. I know that the classrooms are a huge piece of what the Elmwood Community Center provides. As I actively have kids in all of Helen's programs, as she can attest to. But the gymnasium is a huge piece, because we see this all over the state, where you can build them out, you can have blinds and the whole thing to make it work. But I think it's really important that is a major piece of it, because I think that at the beginning of this, I think it's before Adrian was a part of these conversations, there's talks about keeping the old gymnasium, and I would just like to make sure that is as clear as possible, that we would like a very thinking forward gymnasium.
You're talking to folks who are basketball players, so a gymnasium is always a great place. It's our heart, so that'd be a great place to start. But it's multifunctional. That's the great thing about
Exactly.
a gymnasium. You can do
like allowing for, allowing for it to be used as whatever services it needs to be.
Absolutely.
You guys are the experts, so.
Yeah.
But just wanted to plant that flag for you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to say? Helen, go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Billing-Smith. I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the outreach that Eddie and Antonia have done with their team, because they're really not leaving any stone unturned. Going to community events, going to our pool night, but really thinking outside of the normal spaces where you typically have a dog and pony show with, with the really meeting the people face to face. I spoke with our assistant town planner today, and he was really excited to meet with our team to discuss, the layout, the zoning aspects of this project. But he also said, this is the group that came to celebrate, right? They were really great. And we've also been talking about using our community television, WHCTV, and doing sort of a presentation, a kind of almost like an interview of this team, and letting them have the presentation unfold, and then having some frequently asked questions, from the community that we can pre-tape and have them respond to. Because I think there are a lot of people that do rely on our WHCTV, WHCI. It would be then posted on YouTube so people can watch it. But this could be a tool that we would then use to help publicize the two kind of listening events that they have planned, one in September and one in October. And that's for all the people that might not have gone to a pool party, or didn't go to, a family night, or didn't go to celebrate, or aren't on the advisory committee, or aren't on one of those committees that the advisory committee represents, right? They're just random people. We want to make sure that they feel heard and welcomed. And that's why we've got the email address. That's why we've got the website on the library, because everyone goes to the library for information. But to Liam's point about this is not going to be your father's Oldsmobile, we don't want to pick up Fax and Library and just put it in a new place. We don't want to pick up Elmwood Community Center and put it in a new place. We're looking at technology. We're looking at all aspects of, how does this make, how can we create synergies that belong there, not just with the park, but with each other. And Techton is really helping us look very hard at what's important. So I think that you'll be very pleased with the work that they've done, and also anticipate, kind of the up and coming steps that they've laid out. So I just wanted to, kind of remind people, new ECC at westhartfordct.gov is the email address if you have a comment. And then just to go to the West Hartford Public Library, westhartfordlibrary.org, and find the feasibility study is there on their homepage, and you can find more information.
Thank you so much, Helen, for that. I agree. This is one of those once in a lifetime things for us, and this is for our children and our grandchildren and our grandparents and everyone in between. So I think it's just really important, and I do appreciate the fact that you guys have done so much community outreach, because as I said in the beginning of the meeting, it's just so important to this community of what this can be, and the anticipation of it all. So thank you guys so much for your presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate you having us.
Absolutely. Come back every month. We'd love to have you.
We will do that.
Love to have you. So thank you. With that being said, did anyone else have anything to say? Because I will move along, since we don't have any more questions for them, and they've done this multiple times today. So I think they would like to, maybe watch their TV show for a second. I don't know. Or get back to planning. I don't know, but we'll let them do their thing, and we'll move on to communications. Do we have any communications?
We do not, Madam Chair.
Awesome.
Thanks, team.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you
We
for joining us.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
You guys
Night.
have a good night.
Bye.
All right, the gang is here. So we will move on to 4A staff reports, and we will go to our library update. Ms. Ermshire.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair. Laura Ermshire, Library Director. I'm going to keep my report brief since we had such a great presentation, but I did want to give you some updates about what's going on at the library. We are in the middle of a busy summer with a lot of things going on. Last month, we hosted Facts and Fun. This was the first time we had it in 3 years, and it was a huge success. The program provides fun and enriching activities for children in grades 1 through 6. We had over 20 children attend the sessions this year, and their afternoons were spent learning about cartooning, attending mad science classes, tinkering with robots and virtual reality headsets, enjoying a visit from a zoo ambassador, and so much more. This year, we also launched Book Buddy, and this is where we paired younger students with teen volunteers to practice reading. And they had so much fun that they asked to continue it after Facts and Fun concluded, which just like melted all of our hearts. We're grateful to the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving for sponsoring this program. This summer, we're nearing the end, but don't worry, there's still time. We're hosting the Summer Reading Challenge for adults. We heard that people enjoyed our Winter Reading Challenge, and so we're happy to offer a new program for all of our readers out there. For every book you read that fits one of our summer reading categories, you win a chance to win bi-weekly and grand prizes. And we're also hosting a leaderboard on our website that is featuring people who've completed the most categories for the competitive ones that like to see how they're doing compared to other community friends. So stop by the library, tell us what category you're working on. The Summer Reading Challenge is made possible by the Thomas F. Kilfoyle Memorial Bequest from the West Hartford Library Foundation. We have a new art show up in our gallery in New Webster in partnership with the WeHa Artist Emporium. The show is called Circle, a juried art show inspired by circles. And there are some really remarkable pieces in here. The entire staff, when it was first set up, we just all walked through there with our mouths open. Like some of the pieces are amazing. My favorite is the octopus when you walk in just on the right. So be sure to check that out. So I hope you can stop by at some point and see it. We have a few upcoming events I wanted to let you know about. On Friday, August 26th, we'll be hosting the Bishop's Corner Ice Cream Social. This much-loved Bishop's Corner tradition has been on hiatus for a few years, and we're excited to have it back. And on September 7th, we have a virtual program from Mystic Aquarium called Coral Reef Communities. Participants will explore the complex coral reef ecosystems and discover corals living just off the shores of the Northeast. And finally, I like to end with leaving you some featured resources that we have available. And now the library provides in-house and remote access to the digital New York Times. And this means that anytime you see an article, somebody sends you a link, and normally you'd be stopped by a paywall, just come to the library. Go to our website. We have a link. You can enter the first 5 digits of your library card, and then you get free access to the entire New York Times website. If you're in the library, there's no authentication. You can just go right to their website and log on. And we also have digital access to the Hartford Current from 1764 through today. And I can't stress how important these resources are. Free access to digital resources like these and other newspapers and journals. It's so critical for the public to stay informed on what's happening locally and around the world. So if anyone is ever commenting about how they can't find something, they can't access something, there's usually a way we can get it. So just send them to us and we're happy to help. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or give you any more information about the library. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was so great. Go ahead, Liam. Absolutely.
No, just a quick question on how was your first summer?
It's amazing. I love it here so much. I feel like I'm actually getting to the point where I'm keeping track of what's going on a little bit and getting to know more of the community. I'm having a great time. Thank you for asking.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for everything you do.
Absolutely. I second that. I agree. I'm excited because I have my own research project that I'm doing. So it's nice to know that the Hartford Current from 1764, which is the time I'm looking through, is right here in our town.
If I can just add, we have a lot of state resources and we just hired a local history specialist that does a lot of research. So if you need any help, just give us a call.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I don't think I have any questions for you. The update is great, and I'm just so excited to see people going back to our libraries and the Facts and Fun thing, and absolutely the Book Buddy thing. If they want to keep that going, that's amazing because reading's so important and to have those connections with other community members. So thank you for everything. Anybody have any, you don't have any questions, correct, Liam? Nothing? All right, then I will move to our leisure services update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Helen Rubino Turco, Director of Leisure Services and Social Services. I will start with social services. We do have a couple of items to mention. One is that we're interviewing candidates for an Assistant Director of Social Services at the end of next week. And we hope to have someone on board by the beginning of October, if all goes according to plan. In addition, we've done some updates on our website. There's now a panhandling page that's full of community education. We've added this section to the social services website. So it has it's kind of a definition of what panhandling is, as well as some tips on how to engage or not engage with panhandlers, depending on what your comfort level is. And also just some resources for the community to understand, and also in case you want to give those resources to someone, how you can reproduce the West Hartford Cares card, which has a lot of resources listed on it. It also has some resources that the community might like to support. Instead of giving to a panhandler or a person that panhandles, they may want to donate to an organization that helps address some of the issues that are related to that. But again, it's just information to help our community understand what the issue is and what we're doing to help mitigate it. In addition, I wanted to highlight the fine work of our West Hartford Food Pantry. Many municipalities don't run their own food pantry, but we do have a food pantry, and I shared the statistics, just kind of the overall statistics for the last 4 years, just so that you can see the volume of food bag distribution that we've done. The highest year in the last 4 years was, obviously we look at 2019 and we compare it to today, right? So that was the last time things were normal. But the highest year in that little set was more than 11,000 bags were given out in 2021, in fiscal 21. And, this is just, and it still remains high. It's still double what we were doing, more than double what we were doing in 2019. So the need isn't going away. The community is very generous. The Town That Cares funds a lot of it, but also, and donations, of course. But we've also used some CDBG COVID funding to help with the delta between what we usually had done and what we're doing now, as well as CDBG funds that help cover the costs of the employees that are the part-timers that are working on these community programs. Does anyone have any questions about social services? Thank you. So moving on to leisure services, just wanted to give you a snapshot. This has been an amazing summer. Last year, we were breaking records, and this year we're also really having a blockbuster summer. Many of our programs were maxed out. We added additional sections of them to try and accommodate the demand. But it's really been a very pleasant summer, a very busy summer. And in the outdoor pools, we've also been very busy. We do plan to have a wrap-up meeting in September with staff, and then we'll have a proper report. But I did just want to give you some kind of snapshots of how hard the staff's been working. But at our outdoor pools, they have, we've organized 3 family nights. They're free. The first 2, more than 100 families attended. The last one is tomorrow evening at Kennedy Park. This is from 6 to 7:30. It is free. There's games and snacks and that kind of thing. A DJ, with music at the pool. It's really fun. All of our pools will close on the 21st of August, and we will have the Pooch Plunge. This year it'll be held at Beachland Park. The visitations to our pool did increase from last year to this year. And so, we are looking at, we had a lot less rainy days this summer. I don't know if you remember, but last summer it was rained a lot of July. And this year it has been the opposite. So I think that's also increased our numbers there. Cornerstone Aquatic Center also, as you may remember a few years ago, condensed the swim teams, and they have now moved to Cornerstone, and it's called the Waves Summer Swim Team, and they had more than 90 swimmers this summer. So that's turned into a really successful program, and we're really happy to have Cornerstones play such a nice role with our outdoor pools. I did also want to mention that they offered free water fitness classes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at Beachland this summer. They averaged, it was offered at 11 a.m. It averages about 12 participants per class. They advertised this through the Cornerstone newsletter, through Facebook, and the class was also listed in our program guide. We've never done something like that. And it was just great to have them thinking outside the box about different ways to engage our community and keep our community fit. So just kudos to the health fitness team as well for managing our outdoor pools this summer. Our fall winter program guide is out. Registrations open on August 10th. Already we've had nearly 3,000 registrations have been processed. It's a little bit less of a impact than the spring summer guide when it went out, because that's where all the summer programs are. But obviously the things that are very popular continue to be the soccer shots program, our preschool programming, and of course Westmore Park. There's two shutdowns that we sometimes do. We don't do them every year, but Cornerstone's going to shut down for a couple of days in August, from August 24th to August 28th, for some cleaning, some deep cleaning. And the rink, Veterans Rink, is also going to shut down a little bit longer, from August 27th to September 10th. And what they do is they actually remove the sheet of ice. They clean everything. They repair some of the broken boards, and they update and they repaint it. And then they put the ice in. I don't know if you know this, but the ice is actually, the paint is in the ice. So they will have a new sheet of ice when they reopen on September 11th. And I also wanted to mention finally that Westmore Park, the Feast on the Farm, is on September 30th. Tickets are now on sale through Rec Desk. You need to create an account if you haven't already. And we're looking forward to another beautiful evening under the stars at Westmore Park. This is our 9th Feast on the Farm. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I mean, the summers are going to be like this from now on. So, it's great that Eisenhower Pool will be open that summer. That'll help some as well. And, I don't know if it's going to be a rainy season or a drought next summer, but we shall see. I do want to ask one question with social services and talking about the food pantry. I love that you did something about community education with panhandling. Have we thought about any sort of partnerships with folks with that deal with food insecurity? I know that there is someone local who started a company that deals with food insecurity and hydroponic planting and those sorts of things. Have we thought about doing maybe some educational classes around that and offering those sorts of programs to help folks within our community and using some of those funds to set people up with some of those to sustain their own?
Thank you. We'll certainly look into that. Yes, we do partner with several organizations, Food Share, and then there are some local churches that have fresh produce. West Hartford doesn't. Our food pantry doesn't have that. But I do like the idea of that idea of helping people to help themselves. So we'll certainly look into that. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have anything on leisure services. I think you said it all. And I'll let Liam speak to it because his kids actually participated in it. But I'm just really proud of the way that were able to pivot and offer more sessions and get kids in and help families out. So I do appreciate that, and I'll let Liam speak to anything or ask any questions that he may have.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Helen, thank you again for a great summer. All of the Sweeney clan truly enjoyed participating. The question I have is, we clearly, I think, undershot what we thought was going to be the demand. Nothing against the team here, but like clearly the demand for affordable summer camp is at all-time high. How do you think that we can capitalize on that going forward?
That's a great question. So one of the things that we will look at when we do our wrap up for the summer is, we always look, what did we do well? Where did we fall short? And what can we do to improve? We do that every summer, at the end of every summer. So that will definitely be a topic that we will explore with our staff and ideas going forward. I was pleased with our ability to pivot in certain areas and create extra sections where we could, given that you hire a certain number of students or staff at the beginning of the summer to help you through. But we will certainly, that will be something we'll explore, and we'll get back to you.
But, just again, going through this with young kids, it seems like a market that is kind of ripe for us to capitalize on, because we have the facilities, and so we don't have that significant overhead that I think a lot of the private camps may or may not have, based on whatever partnership they have. Everyone knows costs are very high, but I think on this level, again, from a personal experience of having three kids under 5, I think there are a lot of people that are moving, and we've seen this, and Rick can kind of speak to this too with the real estate numbers that we've seen. We have a lot of young families moving in, and that's kind of like our big attraction. And if we can kind of do something to react to that market of people that are coming in, it could be a really great thing for the town and for the community to just really kind of seize on, because we've seen a lot of private camps pop up, and God bless them, and they should do whatever they need to do. But I think that, Helen, you have created a really good mold over there. You have a fantastic ability of hiring as well. I'd like to say that some of them may or may not have become babysitters, but you have a really good eye on staff, and I think kind of, if we can, to your point, it's all what you know, right? You can't project how many people are going to come, but if you know that you're going to have this many people, you can kind of project out how many people you're going to hire. I think that will, one, be a great service to the kind of like young, like teens going into college, giving them a job opportunity, and two, for the young families, of which both Adrian and I fall into the category of, and would really, I think, bite at that opportunity to take advantage of the services that are provided. My kids loved every camp that you did, so kudos to you and the team. But again, I just think that it's a great opportunity, and as Rick can also attest, we have probably close to a couple hundred new residents maybe coming into town in the next coming years that will be having young kids. But I think it's just something that we need to think about and be proactive. And I think it also falls within, the jurisdiction of the federal dollars that we're coming into as well. To be forward thinking, I think Helen, you and I, we talked about this, in the heights of COVID, about what can we do to make sure that kids are not missing out on their youth experiences, and any way we can do that. And I just want to again give you so much praise for the work that you guys did. It's just amazing where we went from no camp to part camp to full camp and to like expanding camp, and it's a nice thing to be a part of this community that is so reactive. So kudos to you and the team, and just looking forward to the ideas you guys have.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Liam. Thank you. And I think when you do your wrap up, you have plenty to talk about for this summer, leading into next summer, and getting everything done. So I appreciate that. I don't have any other questions. Do we have any new future agenda items? Yes, Town Manager.
Thanks, Madam Chair. And just to add on to what Deputy Mayor Sweeney was talking about in terms of residents and incoming families. I was meeting with the superintendent, interim superintendent, Dr. Murrow, earlier this week, and we are, interestingly enough, seeing a spike in our elementary enrollment. So, we go into the summer with a plan. We have our set classrooms, set number of sections at each school, and we've had to split it a couple of times already. And here we are, less than 2 weeks removed from the start of school, and looks like we might need to add another section or two in the elementary schools. So there is more opportunity coming, and I get to speak with Helen most every day, and she lives under the model of continuous improvement and change and looking at things, and if there's opportunities to do it better, Helen will always find a way. So more to follow on that. And I just wanted to add one other thing. Madam Chair, you and I had a sidebar conversation, but I did want to share it with the committee as well. Helen and I met with Assistant Chief Rickabon, as well as our Director of Public Works and our Director of Community Development last week on Trout Brook Trail, which is essentially a linear park and falls under Helen's domain. And we were discussing trail safety, and one thing we specifically discussed was the potential use of blue light emergency phones on the trail. Folks may remember seeing those on college campuses, those tall blue emergency lights on the campuses. So right now our police department is in research mode. So they're looking at what St. Joe's is using, what UConn's using, University of Hartford is using, and Central's using. They will report back to us in terms of what the latest technology is and what type of phone we should look to implement on the trail, where we should put them, how far apart they should be. So I did want to know that we will likely be adding that as a agenda item at a future meeting, and we'd invite the chief to join us. Will also be a topic of during our public safety committee meeting as well. So more to follow on that. Thank you.
Awesome. I know we also spoke about girls softball and what we needed to do based on feedback from our residents and participants. If you want to discuss that really quickly with the rest of
Yep. So we're in planning mode essentially right now. So Helen and I will meet with the manager of leisure services, Mark Blanchard. We will also be meeting with our athletic director, Jason Siegel. I've had a conversation with Rosina Haskins on this issue as well. So we are going to be looking at some potential changes for girls softball that takes us through the town leagues all the way up into including high school as well. So I think a lot of folks have had a chance to see the editorial that was written by a high school student, and for lack of a better word, the lack of equity that occurs within girls softball when compared to baseball. So we are committed to fixing that, and we will come up with a plan that addresses it again across every level. So not just at the town league, but at the high school level as well. I know they're in the process of putting in a scoreboard at Hall High School, so that's one change that's happening there. But we need to look at Conard High School, and then we have to look at our teams at the lower level as well. We have, we're a large town with tremendous amount of participation in our youth sports, and there's a lot of sharing of fields among sports, but we certainly need to make sure that girls softball is not the sport that's always being, asked to share a particular field. And so we're going to address all of that, and that will come up at a future meeting as well.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. That's great to hear, particularly when they're outpacing the men's baseball team for Division I scholarships.
Yes, I know. Proud of them, working hard, and it's paying off. So.
Absolutely. Awesome. So back to number 5, any future agenda items besides what we just discussed?
I would love to have a summer wrap at some point from Helen and the team of like how many kids are coming through, how many kids are coming from West Hartford Public Schools, things of that nature. Just a general update. To Rick's point, despite all of the people saying that we were going to have a decrease in elementary school kids, we had confidence in our town that we were going to have more people coming into town, younger families. We're now seeing that. I'd love to see how those numbers reflect kind of the services that we're providing, the needs that are going to be needed for this new influx of population. All of these things, I think, are important for us on the council for setting priorities for the budget, particularly for you, Helen, and what you're going to be needed going out, because our budget is forward thinking, obviously, and we want to make sure that we're appropriating the amount of slots for everything. And if we undershot, I think we definitely undershot the amount of people that are going to be using camps this year. As I am, everyone knows I'm on a wait list here in town, but like that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that people have slots to the best of our ability, with also the ability to fill the staff that is needed to provide the service that Helen's requirement of high service, which I applaud her on. So I think that we need to make sure that we do that going forward. But the Peter and your team, Rick, is going to need those types of numbers, and obviously we're going to need those for the state going forward on enrollment, and so on and so forth. So anything that we can get on the new influx that we're having and how the summer went, and if that provides any kind of evidence for us going forward.
Good deal.
Very
Okay.
good.
Awesome. Well, with that being said, I'd like to motion to adjourn this meeting.
That was a motion without objection, right?
Without an objection, with the one objection I could have, without objection, to adjourn this meeting. Thank you all. This summer was amazing. Just to listen, I'm so happy we caught up right at this moment. because you guys had a lot of good news for us, and the town needed this good news, that we're back moving and we're together and people are getting the services they need. We're being innovative in those things. So I'm pretty darn happy about what's going on, and I think Liam agrees. We're moving in the right direction, and our town's moving in the right direction. We have people who want to see us grow and want to see us move and make us better. So I think that, and again, thank the Techton team for coming tonight. Thank you for having them tonight because they were amazing. Again, it was a lot of excitement for this meeting, to know that we have so much going on in our community and the services that we provide are helping us. So thank you all.
Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.
All right, good night.